Hi dear students, welcome to Social Science class. In today's class, we'll be continuing the fifth lesson in Social Science, that is about the moon. The title of the chapter is The Moon. In last class, we have studied about a few basic features of the moon, and we also understood what are the major phases of the moon. In today's class, we'll be studying about the speciality of the surface of the moon. The surface of the moon is rough and uneven, and the surface of the moon is generally rough and uneven or not in a level, and it is covered by dark dust. So surface of the complete surface of the surface of the moon is covered with what? Dark dust. There are high mountains, valleys, vast plains and big craters on the surface of the moon. So what are the major things that we can see in the surface of the moon? There are high mountains, valleys, vast plains and big craters on the surface of the moon. What are craters? Craters are deep holes. So we can see many different craters on the surface of the moon. We can see different deep holes. We can see many deep holes in the surface of the moon. Now we are going to study how these craters are formed on the surface of the moon. The craters are created by the collisions of asteroids, comets and meteors on the moon's surface. Many researchers are found that these big holes or craters are formed by the collision of meteors, comets and asteroids. So the deep holes that we see on the surface of the moon is formed by the collision of asteroids, comets and meteors. There is no water or air on the moon. Due to the absence of air, sound cannot travel on the moon's surface. So due to the absence of air, sound cannot travel on the moon's surface. Also due to the absence of atmosphere, days are very hot and the nights are very cold, and this making it is impossible to life to thrive on the moon. As you know, we live in a planet called Earth, right? We have the presence of water, we have atmosphere, and due to the atmosphere we can talk to each other, right? We have all the facilities or all the basic features are available on the planet called Earth. So these are some of the major features of the surface of the moon. Now we are going to study how the high tide and the low tide occurs on the Earth due to the presence of the moon. High tides. The moon and the sun exert gravitational pulls on the Earth. However, since the moon is closer to the Earth than the sun, the moon exerts a stronger pull. This causes the water in the seas and oceans to rise. This is known as high tide. Now we are going to study what do you mean by how the high tide occurs on the Earth. Comparing to Earth, the moon is having a light amount of gravitational force. Sometimes when the moon comes very closer to the Earth, the moon also produces its gravitational force towards the Earth. As a result, what happened? The water in the seas and oceans to rise. This condition is known as what? High tide. Due to the gravitational force of the moon, the water in the seas and ocean will rise up when the moon comes very closer to the Earth, and this condition is called what? High tides. This is how the high tide occurs on the Earth. High tides occurs due to the strong attraction between the Earth and the moon when they come close. So now, what is the major reason for these high tides? Due to the attraction between the Earth and the moon is the major reason for the high tides. Now, we are going to study about how the low tides occurs on the Earth. Low tides occur when the moon is away from the Earth. The gravitational pull of the moon is mainly responsible for the occurrence of the high and low tides. So when the moon is away from the Earth, what happens? The low tides occurs on the Earth. Low tides occurs when the moon is away from the Earth. The gravitational pull of the moon is mainly responsible for the occurrence of high tide and low tides. So on Earth, we experience both high tides and low tides in different days. So what is the major reason for this condition, high tide and low tide? Due to the gravitational pull from the moon toward the Earth. Okay, in today's class, we have studied about basic features about the surface of the moon. Then we have studied how the high tide and low tide occurs on the Earth. This is the note for you. The third question, Why there is no life possible of the moon? The surface of the moon is rough and uneven and is covered by dark dust. There are high mountains, valleys, vast plains and big craters on the surface of the moon. There is no water or air on the moon due to the absence of atmosphere. Days are very hot and nights are very cold. Fourth question, differentiate high tides and low tides. The answer, when the moon is closer to the earth than the sun, the moon exerts a stronger pull. This causes the water in the seas and oceans to rise. This is known as the high tide. Low tides occur when the moon is away from the earth. So these are the question answers. Write down these question answers into your notebook and study it. And we'll be seeing next class. Thank you.